Hello friends, today we are going to talk about the Foreign Trade Policy 2023. The most important change that has been brought in the current edition is it does not have a sunset clause. So this policy is not valid for any time period. So it is valid until it is substituted by another policy. The last foreign trade policy was for the year 2015 to 2020, but because of the pandemic and other developments, the tenure of that policy was extended by about 2 years. The other important point is, though the growth rate of foreign trade has come down from 3% to 1% in the last 2 years, the exports of India has reached about 670 billion during FY23, that is what is the estimate, and the target for exports has been given for the year 2030, that is 5 to 6 years from now. The exports have to reach 2 trillion US dollars, of which 1 trillion has to be from merchandise exports. So the emphasis has been also on merchandise exports. The other aspect is the focus on e-commerce. The exports through e-commerce route should reach the range of 200 billion to 300 billion by 2030. That is what is the estimate. That's a good portion of total exports through e-commerce. The other change that has been brought, the limit of exports through courier service has been raised from rupees 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs, so that the micro level exports can take place through your courier service. And another important aspect that has happened is the Dak Ghar Niryat Kendras have been proposed in the policies, which will facilitate exports through post offices for the benefit of small entrepreneurs who wants to get into the export business. Usually the export houses get star trading house status, and they enjoy some kind of benefits because of that status, and they will have to perform export volumes of a defined level. Now that level of export requirements has been brought down now for export house star trading house 5 and for star trading house 2. But the volume of exports required for star trading house 1 at 3 million remains the same. So this encouragement will make the many star trading houses to be eligible for higher grading in a quicker time period because the volume of export requirement has been brought down. One-time amnesty scheme has also been announced, which will enable the exporters who could not fulfill the obligations of exports, which was meant under EPCG policy, that is export performance and capital goods scheme, that has been now given a freedom that they can settle this by paying penalty and interest, which will not be more than 100% of the sacrifice made on account of the EPCG scheme. So that will bring out the many of the exporters from the obligation of making exports, which they could not on account of pandemic and extraneous circumstances of the world trade. I think many of the entrepreneurs will be able to avail this and come out of the obligations of export performance. The other aspect which is very interesting in the policy, that is towns of export excellence. The towns were 39 earlier, so that those towns will be focused on export performance, and they will have to do more exports from those cities. 4 new cities have been added to the list now, that is Varanasi, Muradabad, Mirzapur and Faridabad. These are the 4 districts which have been added, and these districts will have to are specialized in different commodities which are exportable, and they will be giving that kind of elbow room to expand their exports. So apart from focusing on this, the shift has been on using technology for giving automatic rule-based permissions and completion of procedures of exports for the entrepreneurs. That is a ease of doing business has been facilitated so that more and more entrepreneurs will feel comfortable in undertaking exports. When we take stock of these 4 or 5 aspects, the other important aspect is the shift of the export promotion basis from incentive based to remission based. Now subsidies will not be given, but some remissions and concessions can be given depending upon the export performance orientation of the entrepreneurs. So this is also in compliance with the World Trade Organization's requirements that we should desist from giving subsidies to the entrepreneurs. So that also fulfills that aspect. When we take stock of these important dimensions of foreign trade policy, that gives us a very good view of future prospects of exports in India in the coming years. And for the year FY24, no export target has been given. So no annual target has been given. So because of the uncertainty and the prevailing circumstances in the market, maybe that going forward it can be fixed, but right now it has not been fixed in the current edition of foreign trade policy of 2023. Now when it comes to the banks, when more and more ease of doing focus is being given by the government to promote exports, I think a simultaneous effort needs to be made by the banks in orchestrating their products, that is in processing the loans for export promotion, whether it is a packing credit or post-export credit. They will have to ensure that the same kind of facilitation is done, and the borrower should be able to access the credit much more easily, and I think more focus is to be given to the export promotion so that more credit is dispensed for exports, though it is currently not coming under the priority sector as far as the loans are concerned, but the banks have to give focus on its own priorities, and they will be getting lot of opportunities for cross-selling the domestic lending products and domestic deposit products to the potential exporters, so that that business on the whole will be very beneficial to the banks, and the settlement of export and import transactions through Indian rupee has to be encouraged, and banks should educate the entrepreneurs. As of now, I think the information is about 15 countries have come forward for settlement of export and import trade in Indian rupees, and I think banks have a great role to play in facilitating this process and educating the customers, and those banks abroad should be encouraged to open special Vostro accounts in India so that the rupee settlement accelerates and it reduces pressure on the US dollar, which depreciates. So we should take care of that aspect, and the banks can also educate people and potential exporters as to how to reduce their fund-based borrowing, and they can use non-fund-based facilities for the purpose of conducting foreign trade. That education also need to be given, and how export NGOs like export forums will have to also coordinate with banks and the export houses so that more education is imparted on how to settle the international trade transactions in Indian rupees with trading partners, so that this window is extensively used. And Foreign Trade Policy 2023 also assures assistance to those, encouragement to those entrepreneurs who wants to settle their transactions in Indian rupees for foreign trade. So when we take a holistic look at the granularity of Foreign Trade Policy 2023, it is very much well designed to promote and bring exports to the forefront, and we can become a big exporter in due course of time, because the high sea sales have also been permitted, where without touching the Indian shores, the Indian exporters can source the material from other countries and export to other destinations without the commodities touching the Indian shores. So on the whole, this policy is very progressive, proactive, and very aggressive as far as encouraging the export promotion is concerned. It is up to the entrepreneurs to avail the benefits of these and also coordinate with the banks, and the banks should also coordinate with the export community, so that all can work together to ensure that the targets which have been fixed for 2030 are achieved well in time, or can be surpassed if everyone works together and inclusive efforts are made to promote exports. So we will be talking like this on different aspects of financial sector as we go forward. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe and offer your comments and your suggestions, so that we can work together to enrich the community with the developments that are taking place in the financial space. So we will meet in the next edition. Thank you very much for being with us.